we were talking about kya sahi, kya galat, or sahi or galat ke beyond. That scene for me, which also summarizes Chamkila, is again where he says कि अधिकतर लोग तो गंदे ही होते हैं, the police officer. हाँ, आप कौन हैं? तो वो जब बोलता है हम, तो बोलता है कौन हम? तो हम ही तो है जो सुन रहे हैं. Now that also makes me think that happens. This is happening till today. The one example that came to my mind was that when last year a film called Animal released,
right,
and it divided the audience, but had a roaring success at the box office, which means largely people have accepted it.
Correct.
But then later on, the debates and discourse was like, this is wrong for the society. Films like this shouldn't be made, or ye kya, iska impact kya hai? Where is the responsibility of the artist? Now then, watching your film, I felt that if power really lies in the hands of people, then once people have accepted, is it futile to discuss the responsibility of an artist, or can we still go ahead with it?
As an artist, I would feel that when I will put something across, like if I'm making a movie, I will bear a sense of responsibility, not only in terms of morality, but also in terms of giving the audience something which elevates his experience. Something that they love, but something they haven't seen before. As far as criticizing a particular film is concerned, I feel that one should avoid, because people should judge. We are a democratic nation. We believe in the power of people. They will decide what they are. If they do not like a certain film, they will not watch it. Who is to decide whether it's right or wrong? Who casts the first stone? I wouldn't want to be that person. I can say whether I like a certain song or a certain film or not. I have the choice of not watching or not listening. But I can't say that this is wrong to be made and
wrong for people.
Wrong for people to watch it. This is not suitable for people, so people shouldn't be allowed to watch it. That I don't think anybody has that power to decide for people.
Right.
So,
but while telling his story, at any point were you apprehensive of some decisions that you've taken, which I feel were very brave, because we don't get to see that in a biopic, where you were showing me the flaws of this person, and you're also showing me the way he's changing and the mistakes he's making. Like, one of the mistakes that he has made is, hiding his truth from, his partner. And, that scene when it came, it threw me off. And because we don't get to see that, and then the justification of it is not you justifying Chamkila. It's not your gaze justifying it. It's Chamkila justifying it to himself, to his partner, which honestly as a viewer didn't make sense to me. And I liked it, that it didn't make sense, because we make mistakes and sometimes we think that's the only right way to go about life. And repeatedly you've done this. So while taking those decisions, I don't know how many filmmakers can do this, even if they want to, because then you run the risk of having your protagonist as deeply flawed, not the hero. Did you have that apprehension ever while writing, shooting?
No, I felt that I have to present the human side of Chamkila. I did not set about to make him come across like this neat and clean person, which he was not. Also because I knew a few intrinsic good qualities of Chamkila. I was very sure of them. This is a guy who doesn't come through like a star. He always comes across, if you see any video of Chamkila, he comes across like he's the servant of the masses, never the star. He's a deeply humble man. He's coming from the most disadvantaged background. He is never throwing a tantrum. He is always agreeing to everything that anybody is asking him to do. That is how he lost his life, because he couldn't say no to an audience. He's that kind of guy. We understand that kind of guy. He will have his flaws. If I glorify him beyond a certain extent and take away his flaws from him, then he will not look human. That is when he becomes boring. That is when we won't relate to him. Sometimes I feel that it is the flaws and irregularities of a character that endear them to an audience. Because then you know that this guy is human, and then you can relate to him, and then you can root for him.
Right. The decision to also touch upon his caste, again, something that we don't talk about in mainstream, because caste in itself is a very no-go place in mainstream cinema, because filmmakers are like, will people accept it, or do we really need to go there? But you kind of make it so apparent, and time and again, which I again felt was for someone who didn't know Chamkila very well, and I got to know him through your film. I didn't know that he came from an underprivileged, lesser privileged caste, and I felt that, kudos that you brought it, and how important that identity is to him.
Yeah, I feel that, you see, all of us who live in cities and are disconnected from the masses in a village, we are unrecognizing, we are de-recognizing the larger part of our country. What moves them, what their problems are, what their disadvantages are, what is important to them. How can we not look at that? Are we going to try to fool ourselves to think that everybody in this country actually sits in places like this and talks in English? No. At some point of time, filmmakers will have to be allowed to reach across and talk about the real things in this country. I'm not saying that Chamkila is a very bold film. I don't think it is. But I feel that I'm happy that you noted the fact that there is a certain mention of the disadvantaged background that Chamkila came from, because obviously if I'm making a film on Chamkila's life, I have to show his biggest disadvantage. People are so judgmental about class, and race and these kind of things. In order to denounce it, you must not pretend it doesn't exist.
And I especially love that scene between the police officer and, when the story is being told by one of Chamkila's associates, and he's like, after that journalist interviews Chamkila, and he's like, वो उनके बारे में लिखना शुरू कर दिया कि वो vulgar गाने बनाते थे, and the officer is like, गलत क्या बोल रहा है?
जो कि सारा सही है.
सारा सही है. तो I also felt that, for you as a writer and filmmaker to bring that, to remind the audience that the other perspective and the fact is this. Again, something that you could have not done it if you really are telling the story of this person. वो जो sympathy होती है to a person, you are reminded कि I am sympathetic to this person, but see the person opposing him also has a point. So you're also reminding me as an audience, and I kind of take it as a risk. Did you look at it as a risk?
I thought it was interesting. And I'm glad you noted that, because there are many places where you say something which is so anticlimactic. It's like, we are rooting for Chamkila. Here you're saying that he used to sing bad songs, double meaning songs. And the narrative of the film is only saying it.
Yeah.
But the point was also that, let's get on with it. Okay, he was singing double meaning songs. You can judge him. But let's go beyond this. Let's not fight about was he right or wrong. Prototypically, let's move to that field which is beyond right or wrong. Let's discuss about what he loved. In order to reach that, you've got to go past judgment. ठीक है, आप बोलते हो मैं गलत हूँ. चलो मैं गलत हूँ. Now let's talk about what really moves my heart. That becomes a bigger discussion. Otherwise, it's a squabble.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.